Her voice wasn't loud, but it was venomous, spitting the words through gritted teeth. Her once familiar face, the one I call home, now twisted into something I barely recognized. The glass of wine sat on the counter, half full, trembling slightly from the force with which she'd slammed the drawer shut moments before. I stood frozen, still in my work shirt, keys dangling from one hand, the other hovering over the coffee mug I'd been sipping from when the storm began. I had no response, no word to offer. Silence felt safer, necessary even. Behind her, her mother stood, arms crossed like a judge ready to deliver a verdict. No one intervened as I grabbed my coat and walked out. I didn't slam the door. I closed it softly, like it was something sacred, something I didn't want to disturb, as if the house still had ghosts asleep inside. I figured I'd be back by morning. I figured she'd call, but I was wrong. I waited for regret, for that longing, that desperate ache that might make a man return with flowers and apologies he doesn't owe. But it never came. Instead, there was just stillness, and with it, memories I'd buried under the weight of what I believed was love. I remembered how her family always spoke of how lucky I was to have her, with that subtle tone that turned praise into mockery. How her brother borrowed my car without hesitation, leaving the bumper dented and never once saying a word. I noticed the little things, too, the way she winced whenever I mentioned bills, always changing the subject with a kiss or a guilt trip. Soon, I started digging deeper. Bank alerts, missed emails, one sleepless night. I went through an old folder, too naive to question it before. Mortgage statements, title documents. Everything was in my name. Her name? Nowhere. It wasn't just my heart that had been taken. It was my money, my credit, my future. I'd funded their family dream without knowing I was the outsider, the one paying for it all. That's when the anger came, cold and quiet, sharp, precise. It was a Tuesday evening, the light outside long and low, casting shadows that made secrets harder to conceal. Her mother called. I almost didn't pick up. "Sweetheart," she said, her voice dripping with saccharine sweetness, "I notice a mortgage hasn't been paid this month. There must be some mistake." I stood still, the phone pressed to my ear, staring out the window of the small apartment I'd moved into just 2 weeks ago. It wasn't much, but at least it was mine. There was a pause on the other end, like she expected me to stammer, to apologize, to offer to fix it. Instead, I spoke calmly. "You mean your mortgage?" "What?" "No, darling, the house." I cut her off. The house in my name. The one I paid for. The one none of you contributed to. Silence. I had the loan documents, the text threads, everything. They'd never even noticed the conversations between her and her daughter. She should have changed her password. There was a sharp inhale from the other side. Then nothing. Like she didn't know how to breathe without trying to control everything. "You knew," she whispered. "At first, no," I said. "But being thrown out might have been the best thing she ever did for me." The truth was simple, stark, cold numbers and signatures. Forged comfort. Sold as partnership. I'd been paying for a house that was never truly mine. Her name wasn't on the deed. It was just mine. But the plans, the whispers, the entitled way her family treated the house like a resort, that was all theirs. When I confronted her, she didn't cry. She didn't flinch. She simply leaned back in her chair, crossed her arms, and said, "You could afford it." I laughed. Just once. A single stunned exhale. "That's it? That's what you think of me?" "You're not a victim," she replied flatly. "You want to take care of me. Don't make it ugly." The detachment in her voice was surgical. No guilt, no remorse, just calculation. So I packed up the little that was left behind and walked out again. But this time, I called the bank first, canceled the auto pay, frozen the account she'd attached herself to. Quiet, legal cuts she wouldn't notice until the payments bounced, until the utilities started flickering, until their family dinners turned into tense interrogations. The news spread quickly. Mutual friends called. They whispered. She spiraled. I watched from afar, unmoved, unapologetic. Weeks later, I heard the house was foreclosed and sold at auction. Her family scattered. Her mother moved in with a cousin. Her brother went radio silent. As for my ex-wife, I never asked, and truthfully, I didn't care. Justice didn't come with applause. It came with silence. I never yelled, never gloated. I simply existed without them. And it turns out that was the most unbearable form of revenge. Sometimes silence is a punishment. Sometimes it's freedom. In my case, it was both. I didn't need to burn the house down. All I had to do was stop holding it up. And now I live quietly, simply freely. And when people ask why I left her, I just smile and say, she told me to let them feel an arrest. Let the silence speak for me.